go to this computer. Okay, so basically, everything that we are going to speak today boils down to Inkryptus. Because this is the platform that we have been using. Personally, I've been using it since 2021. And what Inkryptus is basically it's a wallet. It's a wallet. Now, what a wallet does is wallet. What a wallet does, it gives you access to the blockchain. A wallet, when you hear the word wallet, it means it's a platform that gives you access to the blockchain. And this now has gone further to people concluding to the fact that wallets hold our funds, which is technically not right because our funds are inside the blockchain, are inside the ledger. So we're going to go a step further. A wallet gives us access to the blockchain. And this access, okay, this access allows us to interact with different services. Different services. And the most common service is usually peer-to-peer, which is facilitated by crypto. Okay? Facilitated by cryptocurrencies. So, you are probably wondering now, what is a blockchain and how does it operate? So we have started with Inkryptus. We know Inkryptus is a wallet which gives us access to the blockchain. And this access now allows us to interact with different services which are built on the blockchain. And one of those services is peer-to-peer services, which is now facilitated by cryptocurrencies. So we're going to see later how crypto are modes of payment or assets that are used within a specific ecosystem, mostly to facilitate payments and other services, okay? So whenever you hear the word blockchain, what should come into your mind is it's just a ledger. Meaning that what blockchain does is just to store information. That is what a blockchain does. A blockchain is a technology that only stores information. Okay? What you store in the blockchain is what brings its value. For example, let me show you something. Let me see what I have here. Okay, if you can see this, this is 5,000 Tanzanian shillings, right? But this is just a piece of paper. This is just a piece of paper. What is written on it is what brings its value. The same as this. This is just another piece of paper. But what is written on top of this, that's what brings its value. The same for blockchain. Blockchain is just a technology, but what is built on top of a blockchain, that's what makes it valuable. For example, in mobile devices, we usually have operating systems. The operating systems facilitates us to install different applications on top. Those are the services that we interact with. So blockchain facilitates us to get different information, and to the core basics is that blockchain stores information. Now, what makes storage of information or data in the blockchain so special that so many people are running into it? It's because of the three pillars that make the blockchain technology. The three pillars of blockchain, right? The first pillar of blockchain technology, the best pillar, is the fact that we have transparency, meaning that anything that is done on the blockchain, it is accessible to anyone to see and audit. Hey, Jesus, audit. Anything that is done on the blockchain is there for anyone to see. The second pillar is immutability. Immutability. Immutability, meaning that everything that is done on the blockchain, once recorded, it can't be edited. Once information has been stored on the blockchain, it cannot be edited. And the last thing, the last pillar is decentralization. Centralization, meaning that services are owned by users. These are the three pillars of blockchain. This is what makes blockchain different with other ledgers. So the blockchain is transparent, the blockchain is immutable, and the blockchain is decentralized, meaning that any other service that is going to be built on the blockchain has to inherit those because it's built on a blockchain. This is the fundamentals of any project that is built on the blockchain, meaning that any project built on the blockchain has to be transparent. There are some things that have to be auditable. How many coins do you have? How are the coins minted? How are the coins supplied? That is, where are the smart contracts of the project? That has to be visible. The immutability in terms of once you do a transaction, you cannot reverse it. The decentralization, meaning that the community owns the project. We do not have one central authority making decisions for us, but we as a community, we make decisions. Is that clear? If that is clear, please go to your box chat and type 222. If that is clear, ladies and gentlemen, go to your box chat and type 222. If that is clear, make sure you go to your box chat and type 222. Okay, we have Samuel. If that is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And if you have a question, please make sure that you put your question on the box chat as we go. I will be going through the questions and answering them as we go. Okay? Now, you might be wondering, is there any simple way of me seeing how the blockchain works? Today I had a client and I was trying to explain to them, like, why would people opt for the blockchain? Why would people opt for different technologies? Sorry. So, for example, let's assume that we are playing a game of cards. Let's assume we're playing a game of cards here. Okay, we have Charity, we have Kifoke, right? And we have Michael. Let's assume we're playing a game of cards. And right, as we're playing the first round, maybe the first 10 games, I am the person who is recording everything. I'm the person who is recording everything. After the first 5 games, after the first 10 games, I say, okay, I have won 6 games. Kafoge has only won 3, and Michael only has won 1. But we know that I only won 2 games probably. But since I am the one recording, I can cheat. So we decide from the next round on, everyone is going to be recording that information. So I will have my own piece of paper. Kifoke will have their piece of paper. Michael will have their piece of paper. And whenever we complete a game, we tick, okay, who has won this game? This is charity. Maybe this game Kafoke has won. At the end of the day, we have a collective way, like, okay, 10 games. Yes, it's true that charity has won only 3. Kafoke has won only 1. Michael has maybe won the rest. If everyone is recording, it means that it's going to be hard for one person to manipulate. That's how the blockchain is. Meaning that there are so many computers at once recording recording what is happening on the blockchain. Charity has sent this amount to Kifoke. Michael has done this to that to that. So at the end of the day, they usually run a specific code that decides which is right, which is wrong, and stuff like that. So blockchain is just the fundamental technology, and what it does is only store information. It does nothing else. Now, the systems that we come and build, those are the ones that make a difference. When we build something on a blockchain, that's what makes a difference. I said earlier, we're going to go very short and precise. So whenever you're dealing with transacting or value transfer, meaning that you are transferring something of value. In most cases, we are referring to crypto. So people like to simplify it as form of payment, assets that are used for payments or token that are used for payments and stuff like that. But crypto was basically and specifically designed to be the project's engine, project's, let's say, fuel. Yeah, fuel. Meaning that I have an idea. I have an idea. After I have the idea, I create the project. Okay? I create a project. And I will then create a crypto that is going to fuel everything within that specific project. I am going to have an idea. I'm going to create a project, and that project is going to be fueled by a specific cryptocurrency. Now, let me give you a short narrative. When the idea of Bitcoin came to life, the main aim was to have peer-to-peer transactions. Peer-to-peer transactions, which removed middlemen, which made things simpler, faster. You could send money across the world within 15 minutes or 20 minutes, perhaps, even sometimes 10 minutes. But with time, as people adopted to the project, Bitcoin became very volatile. We know that crypto are volatile. Crypto are volatile. So you find that you bought something, you were quoted, maybe it's worth 1 Bitcoin, right? It's maybe something, let's say, for example, you want to buy something. It's $100, okay? By that time, maybe that one costs perhaps 0.1 BTC. By the time you place the order, Bitcoin has gone down in value or up in value. Meaning that instead of then paying $100, you end up paying greater, maybe $120 worth of Bitcoin. So people thought that, okay, at this point now, we need to introduce cryptocurrencies that we can use for payments. And they introduced stable coins. So stable coins are tokens that have a fixed value. Example of stable coins are USDT, USDC, DAI. So these have fixed value. So to this point, you see that we have a class of cryptos that behave like currencies, like fiat. They have a stable value. They are not volatile. One USDT is always equal to $1. But we have crypto which are volatile. And if you want to make money, then obviously you have to invest in cryptos which are what? Which are volatile. To this point, do we have any question? If you have a question, go to your box chat. But if we are together, go to the box chat also and type 333. Please, if we are together, go to the box chat and type 333. Okay. Now, one of the things that you have to understand, and I tried to analyze it here, is that whenever you see there is a cryptocurrency, there is a project behind it, and there was an idea before we had the project. So someone had an idea, then created the project. Okay? So we are going to be looking at, if you want to now invest in these cryptocurrencies, which have a project behind them, which means now that these cryptocurrencies are going to be like projects share. Since the crypto comes after the project, the crypto is usually treated as the project's share because, why? Because, first of all, if you see the project is good, you like the idea, the only way for you to invest in the project is to own its share. In the blockchain world, you own the cryptocurrency. So it's that simple. Here in the real world, you go to a certain service, a certain company, and you're like, this company, for example, I've been using this bank for a while. I think this bank is making good profits. I want to have a part, I want to be part of that profit. You buy the company's share. In the cryptocurrency world, if you see a good project, then obviously you have to go and buy that project's crypto. Now, when you want to invest in a crypto, there are things that you have to look into, things to look at. The first one is the project itself. The project itself. You have to look into the project. You have to look at three things inside the project. A, what is the problem? What is the problem they see? The second thing, what is the solution? The third thing, for me personally, is usually how is the crypto a part of the solution of the solution. I think this is the main thing that you have to be looking into. This is the main thing that you have to look into. you have to know how to analyze cryptocurrency projects. What is the problem that they saw? What is the solution that they offered? And how is the crypto part of that solution offered? We are going to speak with examples. The second biggest project is Ethereum. Ethereum. And the problem that they saw, for those who don't know, is that there is no logic in the blockchain. In the blockchain. So if there's no logic, it means that the only thing that you could do is only send and receive and store. They wanted to add more functionality to the blockchain. And the solution was introduce smart contracts. And smart contracts, these are self-executing executing code, meaning that it doesn't need human intervention. Once certain conditions have been made, it doesn't care other factors and it just executes. And how is their coin used as part of the solution? It's as what? As the fee. For what? Fee for smart contracts deployment, transfers within their blockchain. It can also be used for staking, which we're going to be speaking of in a short while. So it means that if someone wants to use smart contracts within the Ethereum blockchain, they are going to need ETH, the token, ETH. They're going to be needing ETH. Once you have ETH, then you can have, you can pay fees, you can do deployment, you can do transfers, you can do staking. That's why we say the first thing you have to look at what? The project. What is the problem? What is the solution? And how is the coin used? Now, Binance came in and did the same thing as Ethereum, but they made it cheaper. That's why you see like there are projects which are doing good because they saw something which has very big potential and they made it accessible to anyone, to everyone, I mean, not anyone, everyone. Okay. Okay, I have some questions before I proceed on. Okay. Okay, Kingpin, I think you need to understand how wallets operate. It's not every wallet needs 12 words, the seed phase, and I'm not going to speak about that because that's not where we're aiming to go. Inkryptus is another project. It's a non-custodial wallet compared I mean, it's a custodial wallet, unlike those non-custodial wallets. And I'm not going to speak about the non-custodial wallets today. So we have seen so far, but by the way, if we're together to that point, please go to your box chat and type 444. If we are together to that point, like the first thing that you have to look into is the idea, the project itself. That's the most important thing that you have to look into. Now, if we are together, please go to your box chat and type 444. And as I said, please make sure that if you have a question, you drop it on the box chat. And please ask questions that are pertaining to the presentation today. It's going to be even more productive. So, after we look at the project, we are going to look at something called tokenomics. This is the whole aspect of supply and demand weights. and and demand. Here we're looking at supply and demand. Now, one thing that you have to know, another key takeaway, supply is always pre-programmed. Supply is pre-programmed, meaning that everything about supply is written down on the white paper. But the demand depends on how the community sees the project. Okay? It's very important for you to remember this. Like the whole aspect of tokenomics is to see how the supply is relative to the demand. But the supply is always pre-programmed. But the demand, on the other hand, depends on how the project is seen by the community. So you still have, even though the project can have good tokenomics, you still have to be in a position where you can see, perhaps in the next 5 years, what are the demands of this project going to be? It's very important. Like in the next 5 years, what are the demands of the projects going to be? Now, and the fact, when we look at supply, which is what we can actually analyze, we usually look at the maximum supply, okay? And we usually look at progressive minting and unlocks. Okay? Like what is the maximum coins that are ever going to be making? We also look at the circulating supply, like how many coins right now are within the market. And we also look at, are there going to be any further minting of this crypto? Are there going to be any further unlocks of this project? Now that's the whole aspect of what? Of tokenomics. This is all about math. It's all about math. Now, let me go back here. I gave an example of Ethereum. Now, let's look at Inkryptus. Inkryptus has its token called Ink. Okay? What is the problem that Inkryptus saw? Inkryptus saw that there's difficulty in accessing decentralized finance services, because it is complex, it is very risky for you to access. We had a guy asking about MetaMask. Like, if you're not, how do I put it? If you don't fully grasp how these platforms work and you're using a non-custodial wallet, the possibility of you losing your funds is very high. Very, very high. And people don't know that. It's very easy to lose your funds when you're using these non-custodial wallets like Trust Wallet, like MetaMask, because once you expose your private keys, everything is gone. Once I have your private keys, then I can access everything. So Inkryptus saw that so many people are struggling with this problem. So what did they offer? They offered a custodial wallet. Okay? A custodial wallet to access the services. Meaning that Inkryptus did something called bridging. They bridged us. They bridged us with those services. And Ink now is used in one of those services called staking. So it's used for staking. Okay. You can also play games that are within the Inkryptus ecosystem and other common services like fees and transfers, stuff like that. But mostly clients that use Inkryptus, they use it for staking and they use it for what? For games. That's what we mean by the fact of the project itself having some sort of a problem, a solution, and a coin being used as part of that solution. To that point, if everything is clear, please go to your box chat and type 555. If we are together to that point, please go to the box chat and type 555. Now, what I have done so far is to make sure that you understand why are we investing in Inkryptus. You just don't buy ink for the staking rewards that you get. No, you buy ink because you understand the problem that they're trying to solve, and you think their solution is good enough as a solution. That's when you buy ink. Now, staking is an additional bonus. The rewards that we get is an additional bonus. Now you might be wondering, and this is very important for you to know. We say that when you stake, you get rewarded. Where are the rewards coming in from? Where are the rewards coming in from? When you do staking, the rewards only come from two major things, two major ways. One is the transaction. Transaction fees. And the second one is new coins coming into circulation. We have seen that so many people are tricked and lied to. Like, okay, this project we are doing staking, blah, blah, blah. But the rewards are coming from when people loan money, they do this, they do that. No, when you're doing staking, outright staking, your profits only come from two things, two ways. It's either transaction fees or the new coins coming into circulation. The fact of transaction fees, we are speaking of proof of stake protocols, meaning that for you to be allowed to do verification of transactions on the blockchain, you need to lock a specific amount of a specific crypto so that you can receive the transaction fees when you allow. Because when we do a transaction, we are charged fees. That fees goes to the people who do verification of transaction. And in some protocols, you need to lock your funds in order to be allowed to do verification. And once you do the verification, then you get paid from the transaction fees. And another one is the new coins that are coming into circulation, meaning that a project does not bring all its coin into circulation. It brings some, and what is left comes in slowly, slowly, slowly. So these new coins that are coming in are given out. If that coin supports staking, then it is given out to people who are doing staking. Very important for you to understand. When you're doing staking, Those are the two ways you can make money. I hope that point is very clear to anyone. Everyone who is in this call right now, I hope you got that concept. We have a question from Michael O'Willy. Kindly explain the meaning of circulating supply and total supply. Okay. When you're speaking of total supply, you're speaking of all the coins that are ever going to exist. When you're speaking of circulating supply, it means are all those coins that are currently in circulation. So it can be that, for example, I'll give you an example. For example, when we're speaking of Inkryptus, Inkryptus has Inky as the token, okay? But we have a maximum supply of 200 million ink. That is the number of ink that is ever going to exist. 200 million. But for the operation expenses, to run the project at entirety, the project's capital, it was set aside 10 million ink. What was left, which has to go to the public, is 190 million ink. So what does all this mean? It means that the founders of Inkryptus decided that our project, in order to succeed, we only need 200 million ink. Out of this 200 million, we are going to need 10 million to make sure that the project is fully functional. The 10 million does a lot of things. There are a lot of bonuses there. There are a lot of development ink there. There are a lot of pools and all that stuff. Now, the public is going to have 190 million ink. The 190 million ink, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be distributed slowly to the community. We don't want to dump 190 million tokens at once because I said earlier, in the fact of tokenomics, we are looking at supply and demand. When you're dumping a lot of coins at once, the supply becomes very big compared to the demand and the coin never performs. That's why you see meme coins, they just one push and then they disappear. Why? Because always in terms of meme coins, the supply is usually very, very large compared to the demand. So when many people are coming in, they go up in price, and once people leave, they fall. So Inkryptus said that within this 190 million, to put it simply, per day, per day, per day, 10,000 ink is brought into circulation. So when I mean circulation, I mean that these coins can now be used to pay profit, to do whatever. So the 200 million is generated at first, but it does not come into circulation, meaning that you don't buy from that 200 million coins. A small percentage was set aside from this OPEX, okay, that people could now buy from it. And every day they add 10,000 coins into circulation, but they only give it to people who have done staking of Inky token. Now, one very important thing is that I haven't clearly said what staking is, right? So when you hear the word staking, it means locking up tokens to secure a protocol, okay? It goes very deep because staking is very wide in terms of it, but you buy tokens and you lock them up. And in return, you receive a reward, okay? This reward comes from one of two things, transaction fees or new coins coming into circulation. Is that point clear to everyone on this call? Please go to your box chat and type 777. Okay, we have another question. Index tools, I'm seeing circulating supply of ink as 2.2, while the total supply is 1.54. How many more above explanation more? Okay, I don't know what tool are you using, so I can't answer which tool do you see 2.2. But I think the best tool that that you can use is the website itself. I'm going to show it shortly because obviously what I planned to explain today, I have explained it, like what is staking, what the blockchain is, what cryptocurrencies are, and what we do with Inkryptus. So in Inkryptus, the best service that we have is staking. So I'm going to show you, let me see where I have the Inkryptus page. Let me make sure that first of all I'm on the page, and then I'll share the screen. Share. Let me use this one. Okay. Okay, so okay, Inkryptus. Okay, stop the share. Let me finish off with Inkryptus. Where are you? So this is Inkryptus website. I hope you can see. Please type 11 if you can see. Please type 111 if you can see. Please type 111 if you can see what I'm displaying. Okay. So, solution ink token. So this is the most reliable source that you can use. Different tools, they tell different answers because they make something called API calls, and they have different ways of interpreting what they think is what, okay? So this is everything. Like the circulating supply is 15.45 million ink. It includes the 10 million ink plus what has been minted so far. Because let me see. If probably we started in May 2025, May 2023, so it's probably 5.5 years. Okay, let me do that. 2.5 years. 2 times 365, half a year. Okay, wait. Yeah. Okay, yeah. 2.5 times 365 times 10,000. Yeah, probably. I'm not certain. But you see, this is when ink started back then in May 2023 and where it is now. So this is the best tool for you to use. Perhaps I don't know which tool that you used. You can tell us like which DEX you used so that we can see and I can hopefully explain what you want to see. But also when you're within this website, yeah, you can come here, you can come to staking. You can, at your own time, read what staking is, a smart way, okay? And it explains to you like all the products that are within the Inkryptus ecosystem. And you can come down and you can use this calculator. Eh? It can give you some rough approximates of how much you can be earning. For example, let's try Kenyan shillings. So if today, right now, you have perhaps 10,000 Kenyan shillings, let's do 100. 100,000, you'll probably get 484 ink. And if you invest them in the 36 months pool that we have with Inkryptus, you can be earning perhaps after 3 years, you can have a profit of 226. And after all those 3 years, your staked amount and your profit might probably be 300. But this is just a tool and it assumes that everything stays constant, meaning that The price of ink stays constant and everything else stays constant. Okay, you're using Dex Screener. So Dex Screener, you have to know what data are you aggregating. Let's see it here. Okay. If anyone in this call has a question, please make sure that you leave your question there. I haven't used this in a while. Okay. Okay, search. I don't think we can get Inky here unless we have. Please make sure that if you have a question, you ask your question. Okay, we have Inkryptus. Okay. Ooh, okay, we have the liquidity right. Full diluted volume. Market cap. Okay. Holding. Well, it's not showing. It's not showing what you claimed it's showing, but yeah, this is everything, like the full diluted volume. So if we take 24.6 divided by the current ink price, which is 1.59, it gives us, if you can see, 150 something. I hope you can see what I'm trying to show. So take this amount, fully diluted volume, divided by the price. The number you get, that is the circulating supply. It's that simple. Okay? Yeah, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I would not go any further because what I wanted us to understand is the foundation, blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Of course, we are going to be looking at other things on the next call. Hopefully on the next call, we are going to be speaking of Inkryptus as a project. Like, how can you maximize? I've been using Inkryptus since 2021, and there are reasons of why I use Inkryptus. And if you want to know those reasons, then please attend the next Zoom call. We're going to be speaking of how you can use Inkryptus, how you can maximize your benefits with Inkryptus. Because for quite a while now, we have been helping people do things in crypto that we are really proud of. That's the reality. Like, we have helped people actually make money with crypto. And we are not speaking of hyping up people, telling that if you invest this amount, you're going to get X amount in 3 or 4 months. No, we want people to actually start seeing cryptos as assets, the way they are meant to be, and actually harness or get some returns from their investment. So if everything was clear, please go to your box chat, type 888